All right, let's talk about creativity. It's a word we throw around all the time, right? We say we want more of it, we admire it in others, but what are we actually talking about? We all think we know what it is.
But let me ask you straight up, what does it really mean to be creative? When you point to something, a piece of art, a new gadget, a business idea, and you say, wow, that's creative, what's the actual ingredient you're pointing to?
For almost everyone, the first word that pops into their head is originality. A creative idea we think has to be something new, right? Something nobody's ever seen before. It's unique, it's novel. And look, that's not wrong, but it's only half the story. In fact, if we only focus on originality, we can fall into what I like to call the originality trap. It's this idea that just being different is the same thing as being creative. And as you're about to see, just being new isn't nearly enough.
I mean, really think about that for a second. Is something automatically creative just because it's one of a kind? If being original is the only test, well, then things start to get pretty weird.
Let's take a really powerful example from the research. You have the phenomenon known as word salad, which is sometimes associated with psychosis. The way words are strung together is completely jumbled, completely nonsensical. It is, without a doubt, original. But would we ever call it creative?
Or how about that classic thought experiment, right? A room full of monkeys banging on keyboards. Eventually, they're going to type out tons of stuff that has never, ever been written before. It's totally original. But is it creativity? Of course not.
And this is what shines a huge spotlight on the problem. Both of those examples are 100% original, but they're also completely useless. They're random, they have no purpose, no meaning. So clearly, originality by itself just doesn't get us there.
So, if being new isn't enough, what's missing? What's the other piece of the puzzle that turns simple novelty into something genuinely creative? Well, it turns out there's a second ingredient that's just as important.
And this lays it out perfectly. On one side, you've got originality all by itself. As we've seen, that can just be noise, randomness. But when you add the second ingredient, effectiveness, well, that's when the magic happens. That's when you get something that's actually creative. So what in the world do we mean by effectiveness? It's actually a pretty broad term. It could mean it's useful, it solves a problem. It could mean it's appropriate, it just fits the situation perfectly. Or it could have value. Maybe it's beautiful or moving or just plain satisfying. The key thing is the idea has a purpose. It works. And these two things, originality and effectiveness, are the core of what creativity researchers call the standard definition. Think of it like a simple two-part recipe for what it truly means to be creative. So here it is, plain and simple. For something to be considered creative, it has to meet two criteria. It must be both original, so new and uncommon, and effective, meaning useful, appropriate, or valuable. It has to be new and it has to work.
And listen, this isn't just some new theory someone cooked up last week. This two-part definition has been around for a long, long time. It was forged over decades of serious psychological research, and it's basically the foundation for how scientists study creativity today.
You can actually see how the idea was built over time. It started way back in 1950 with J.P. Guilford, who noticed that creative answers had to be more than just uncommon. They also had to be acceptable. Then in 1953, Morris Stein really nailed down the two-part definition. And by the 1960s, this idea of originality plus effectiveness was pretty much the gold standard for everyone in the field. And here is that amazing quote from Morris Stein himself, way back in 1953. He said, "Creative work is novel, that's our originality, but also accepted as tenable or useful or satisfying, and that's our effectiveness." He absolutely hit the nail on the head more than 70 years ago.
So, okay, what's the big takeaway here? What does all this mean for us? Well, it gives us a much clearer, much more powerful way to think about creativity in our own lives, in our work, everywhere.
Let's just boil it down to its essence. There are two pillars of creativity. Step 1, be original. Yes, come up with something new, something different. But, and this is the crucial part, don't stop there. Go to step 2, be effective. Make sure that new idea is also useful or valuable or just plain right for the job. It's a simple checklist, but it's incredibly profound. So the single most important thing to walk away with is this. Real, meaningful creativity isn't just about that flash of novelty. It's not about being weird just for the sake of being weird.
It's about the combination. It's that powerful alchemy you get when you fuse the new with the useful,
That is the standard definition, and honestly, it's the only one that really matters.